This is a brand new version of the W2 HVH enclosures that I picked up at Hamcation in Orlando in the February of 2023. I've got the original version right here, and he sent me this new version. He's like, hey, I got a new design. Would you like to tinker with it? And I said, sure, I would. So here's the old version. I say the old version. This is one version. I don't know if it's newer or older or what. It's just a different version. This one has the sticker right here, and all of these are stickers right here. And this is the actual one that I picked up in Orlando at Hamcation. You can see I've got my radio in it here, battery, matte tuner, and all the connectors and whatnot. This is the updated version that he sent me, and all of this is etched into the metal. He didn't put his call sign on it. That's kind of disappointing, but oh well. And I hate to say this, but this is still wired backwards. The one that I bought in Orlando was wired backwards. And I told him about it. I was like, hey, and he's like, man, I probably just got in a hurry. I was like, hey, it's no big deal, because you just take these two screws out here. This drops out of the bottom. You switch them around. It's not a big deal. But the red, if you're looking at it from the top, which is this direction, the red should be on the right. Red right, looking at it from the top. That's the way that Bioenno has theirs. Red right, black left. So if I were to plug this in here, you can see they would be backwards. So I'll have to switch that. Not a big deal, just something I noticed. So this is the enclosure. He makes two brackets. This one is wider for the 4.5 amp hour Bioenno battery. The standard one comes with a smaller bracket that's for the 3 amp hour Bioenno battery. I told him I wanted the 4.5. I bought the 4.5 Bioenno at Hamcation right after I bought this enclosure from him, because I'm like, yeah, I want the biggest battery I can put in it. So when he sent me this updated model, he sent me the larger bracket for the larger Bioenno battery. This right here, of course, is the ground. This is the ground plug that goes right here. You can put this ground plug on the back of the radio. Actually, if you're set up in the field, you can hook this to an actual ground if you want to. That's the power button right there, of course. Speaker mic. This right here is the clamp for the radio. The tripod clamp or tripod mount on the bottom of the 705 goes right there. This right here, that's the keyer, of course. The data port, USB-C. One of the good things about this enclosure, the IC-705 has a micro USB port for its computer interface. Well, every other radio in the world, or at least every other common radio, the IC-7300, the FTDX10, the IC-7200, all have a USB-B port on the back, which is what this is. It's commonly called a USB printer port. So what he did was he took this port from micro USB and transformed it into a USB-B plug on the front here, so you can use the same USB-A to USB-B cable on this enclosure that you do on your IC-7300 or your FTDX10, both of which I have. This right here is the standard barrel connector port that you see on a Bioenno, so you can plug a Bioenno charger right in there. Of course, this is the SO239 that goes to the... This is wired for the AT-705 tuner from Icom, because of course the IC-705 doesn't have a tuner built in. I'm going to do something different with that. We're going to show you that later. And of course, this is the PowerWorks meter that he puts on it. Peel the plastic off. You guys want to watch me peel this plastic off? Can't reach it from that side. Ooh, there it is. Ooh, pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And of course, there's the USB connection, or the power pole connection right there, which you can use to power from an external battery source, or you can use to charge your battery, I guess. This is a ground bus that he puts in here with a fuse circuit. He uses 3 of the 4 fuses. So these 3 fuses right here are used. This one is blank. I guess you could expand on it later if you wanted to. That kind of thing. So I'm going to put my IC-705 in this new enclosure, and then I'm going to take it out to the field. For part 2 of this video will be me taking the 705 to the field and operating POTA with it, because that is what I do. I have to figure out how to get all of this out of the old enclosure and put it into the new one. Stand by. All right, I got everything out of the old enclosure, ready to put into the new enclosure. Now, this is the bracket. When I purchased the enclosure from him at Orlando Hamcation, it came with and I don't know what I did with that thing either. I gotta try to find it, because I'm gonna send him this old enclosure back. He sent me this new one for free, but I purchased the original one. This is the 4.5 amp hour battery bracket for the old enclosure, and it fits the battery like that. So, and then this new enclosure, he sent me the same bracket. It's a little bit different configuration, just to kind of fish it around in there a little bit better. But this guy right here, it comes with, the difference between this bracket and the one it came with is the width here. Because the Bioenno 3 amp hour is not as tall. So if you get the one with the 3 amp hour bracket, it may not look exactly like that, but you know, it's close enough. And this enclosure right here has a hole in the back of it. This is the bracket here. This is the hole in the back. That's where the radio mounts. This is made for the AH-705 tuner that Icom makes to accompany this radio, since they didn't put a tuner inside the radio for who knows why reason. But I do not have an AH-705 tuner, and I do not want an AH-705 tuner, simply because I bought this. And this was available prior to the AH-705 tuner from Icom becoming available. This came out actually, it's this one here. This is the one. You guys might have seen this video on my channel. This is the one with an internal 9-volt battery. Just turn it on and there you go. Ready to go. This is the one with an internal, I think it's an 18650, but don't quote me on that. It's an internal rechargeable battery that recharges via this USB-C port right here. So, and this is it. I've replaced the battery in this one too, because it went dead on me about 6 months after the fact. Regardless, this has been a very good tuner. So this one obviously does not have a mounting port. So I'm going to zip tie this through this enclosure hole in the back here. I'm going to use that hole right there, and I'm going to just tie a zip tie around it. So I'll show you that here in a minute. But I'm going to improvise it because this is the tuner that I have that I'm very happy with. Today's video is sponsored by chatradio.com. Chatradio is actually where I bought this tuner, both of them. The MAT-705, the original version with the 9-volt battery, and this new version with the USB-C. I bought them both from chatradio.com. Back then, they were known as KM4MPFsales.com. He has since changed his name to Chat, C-H-A-T-T Radio. It's kind of a play on words because he's in Chattanooga, but what do we do on the Hamradio? We chat with one another. So chatradio.com, they're an Icom dealer, they're a Vibraplex dealer. They deal in all the big name brands. Small business, independently owned, nice folks. You can get them on the phone every time you call. Check the link in the description below, and a special thanks to chatradio.com for supporting this channel and for sponsoring this specific video. Be sure to tell them that Hamradio 2.0 sent you if you go visit their website. So this right here is what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be installing all of this stuff right here, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. All right, this is obviously the grounding cable here. His last one had a U-clip on it. This one's got a ring terminal. So I have to take the grounding stud all the way out of the radio, which is not a big deal. It's probably more secure this way, honestly. That way it's, even if the thing comes, if the stud out of the radio comes loose for some reason. Now you could do all these connections before mounting it in here. I just didn't do it that way. I thought it'd be easier to mount it and then add all the connections after the fact, because you'd have to be dealing with cords trying to mount it after the fact. So now it's stable and the radio is not moving around on me. But you know, to each his own, whatever you want to do. This is for the keyer. That goes right there. That's the USB. Goes right above it, or below it, however you want to look at that. That is for, oh, that's for the, oh, that goes into the Bioenno battery. That goes into this port in the Bioenno battery, right there. That enables, no, that's not that one. No, I'm sorry. That's for the tuner. This yellow one goes into the Bioenno. Okay, so this is for the AT-705 tuner, which I'm not going to use. So I'm going to just set that aside. So that port right there goes to this charging port right here. So that enables you to use the standard wall charger that comes with the Bioenno. So you can charge your battery that way, or if you want to do it another way, you can do it another way. In fact, I'm going to take this off, turn this over, and I'm going to put it in from this direction. In fact, I think I changed my mind. I'm going to take this bracket out, and I'm going to put the battery in last. I think at first I'm going to put the MAT-705 tuner in, because it's going to have to be fooled with just a little bit. All right, so this tuner here is great. So the enclosure comes with a PL259 connection, which the tuner is all BNC. So I had to add my own adapter, not a big deal. So that's going to go there. And then I have to, and then the tuner itself comes with a BNC to BNC cable. Now this grounding cable here is for the tuner itself. This tuner is for the Icom tuner. This tuner doesn't have a grounding cable, so I could probably just remove all that, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna save it, just in case one of these days, maybe somehow I will get a AH-705 tuner, but right now I don't have one. The other side of that coin is that this tuner is charged via micro USB. So the AH-705 tuner, as far as I can tell, is powered by the circuitry that's already in this box. I have an extra circuit on this that this AH-705 doesn't have, because this one has its own internal battery and own internal power source. So I have to take this external USB-C cable, just like that, and I'm just going to fish that around and wire that on the outside. So that'll be sticking out of my enclosure case, and I'll show you what that looks like at the end of the video. All right, so I zip tied this tuner through the porthole right here, and it just kind of sits here, and once I put it in the bag, it won't matter. So it sits there just like that. We've got the charging cable for right here, which goes from USB-C to USB-A. I'll show you that in the next part of the video. We've got the adapter here, and then we've got the BNC cable from here to the radio. So it goes out of the radio into the tuner, out of the tuner into this plug, this SO239 that he's got in the case right here. And you just hit the tune port on the radio to activate that. It's got an internal battery. It does not use a switch like the old one does. The old one wouldn't work in this configuration because it has this switch that you have to switch off and on. And if you leave that on, it's going to run down the internal 9-volt battery. You got to take the whole thing apart again. But with this one, it just stays on. There's no power switch or anything. When it dies, you just plug it into USB. So you can charge it while you're not using it or whatever. I also put the battery, I went ahead and put the battery in. We connected the barrel connector coming out of the Bioenno, which goes to this port right here. So you use your standard Bioenno charger just to plug in there. And then we connected the internal connection of the power poles was correct. He mounted this one backwards, like I said, red on right if you're looking down from the top, which is this way. But this one was correct. So the Bioenno plugged in there, red to red, black to black, like it normally should. No problem there. So now we've got everything that we need. I need to switch that, and I'll do that later. So I can power that on. For some reason, this LED doesn't come on this light here. If I kind of touch this, that's not doing it. There it is. I think there's a short in that switch. I might get another switch from him. However, it doesn't matter. There's a short in the light on the switch, but the switch itself is working because you can see this right here, and you can see it charging the radio, okay? So now we can power the radio on, and it comes up and it'll say RF power 100% right there. That means it's on external battery, and you can see the charging symbol on top of the battery right there. So there's three ways to use the IC-705 in this configuration. You can use the internal battery of the 705, which is on the back of it right now. You can see it's about 2/3 charged. It'll do about 5 watts on HF. You can use the internal battery on the enclosure, the 4.5 Bioenno, and that'll give you full power out of the radio, which is 10 watts on HF. Or you can plug in an external power source, a power supply, an external Bioenno, or just anything with a power pole connection, maybe your battery box, something like that. And you can do that here, and it will charge this battery while this battery is charging the radio. So you can always turn this on, charge your radio up to full 100%, use this battery. When this battery dies and goes dead, you just turn that off, and you can keep on using your radio at the 5-watt power instead of the 10-watt power level. So check out this video over here, right here for a continuation on this series using this battery box in the field at Parks on the Air.